Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Orbital Takes. Today is Wednesday, November 9th. Today's episode is brought to you by your favorite space accounts, Space Flight Hub and Space with Spo. It was a pretty slow week in space, but on today's show, we're going to talk some shit about China's rocket coming back towards Earth again. We'll talk a little bit about Boeing Starliner being delayed until 2024. We'll hit you with the OTOG segment. And then, as always, we'll finish up with a quick launch and scrub of the week. Pat, first up, this rocket coming back towards Earth that China launched for their new space station. How many times are we going to do this?
I feel like we just talked about this. Like, how many times are we going to have to deal with this? I hope this is the last time. What is it? The Long March 3B is the rocket.
It's the 5B, yeah.
5B, I'm sorry. And it's their heavy lift one. So I believe, now their space station is complete. So hopefully by the time that they get a Mars vehicle or something like that, they have some better solution for this. But yeah, they've been lucky so far because they've hit the largest target in the world, which is the Pacific Ocean. But what happens if that doesn't happen?
That's the point, man.
Talk to the villagers that have had fiery hell rained down on them previously in China.
So this is the fourth time in 2 years that China has disposed one of its rockets in an uncontrolled manner. And like you said, one of the previous ones, there was like pieces of metal landing in villages on like the Ivory Coast. Like, what the fuck, China? You know what I mean? When this happens, the area that the rocket can fall covers almost 88% of the world's population. So it's not like we're just like being assholes here, like, and we're making fun of them that they can't land a rocket booster by themselves. But like, dude, like, find a way to control these landings. They can't continue to do this.
Aren't you tired of talking about this?
I am. This is probably the third episode that we had to address this. But I mean, slow space week, rocket falling towards the Earth. I don't know. I feel like, it is newsworthy, right?
It's for sure newsworthy because they've gotten lucky so far and they've hit the largest area on Earth, which is the Pacific Ocean. But that's only because of luck. Like, there is no guided reentry for these at all. So
it's just an old school way of getting to orbit, bro. Like, control your rocket for a reentry. Come on.
Yeah,
just China, just copy our shit. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, they steal all the other technology and whatnot. Like, can't you steal the technology for like some retro rockets to be able to guide that back in a little more clearly? Come on, Xi Jinping.
All right, going into some unfortunate news about Boeing Starliner. Again, I don't think we've ever said anything good about Boeing Starliner, but they pushed the first operational flight. It's going to push until 2024. I know they said they're going to have that test flight in what month did you mention there?
Well, it was supposed to be in December, the crewed. So they did the orbital flight test, which is uncrewed, back in the summer. And then they said, hey, we're shooting for December, I think, for the crewed flight. But then that got pushed to February just because of traffic on the ISS. And then this got pushed again back to April because there's some other things that they have to make room for on the ISS. So at least this time it wasn't because of valves or something like that. But yeah, just a bummer because we need this second capability to get to the ISS, and SpaceX just continues to do their thing. So bummer for Boeing, but not the end of the world necessarily.
Yeah, they were originally supposed to fly in 2017.
Yeah.
They're obviously facing a series of delays here. And the funny thing is that the International Space Station is only going to be operating until 2030. So, I mean, they're literally running out of years.
And like we've talked about on the show, like all of those flights are booked out. SpaceX got additional flights. Boeing also has flights there, but they did all this development for the Starliner it was spurred on by Commercial Crew Program, and that will essentially pass it by. Again, like we've talked about, doesn't mean the Starliner is now defunct or obsolete. There's still going to be places like Orbital Reef and other maybe they'll do kind of like what SpaceX does with Dragon crew capsule flights,
Yeah.
and they're able to, book a private one, so to speak.
Yeah.
So not to say that it's, a waste of time or resources or anything like that, but just unfortunate that it took so long. But as they say, space is hard.
Yeah, and everybody in the space industry, it is kind of like the ongoing joke that Starliner's never going to get off the ground. But if you're just tuning into Orbital Takes now, our orbital take is that it just needs a new paint job. It needs to be painted like a different color. It looks like a flying washing machine right now, and that's not going to get the people hyped, right? It needs to look more like the Crew Dragon, or just get like fresh decals on the side, and then everybody's going to love this thing.
What color do you think it should be?
I told you, I think I would go with yellow, bright,
Yellow?
like metallic yellow. You don't strike me as you playing too many video games these days, but in Call of Duty, they got this gold camo. I would put a fucking gold camo on the Starliner, and then immediately people would be down for Boeing. Honestly, like that shit's sick.
You were not wrong that because of my children, that my gaming has taken a back seat.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're
right
missing
now.
some other priorities at the
But
moment.
I play COD, man. I play Warzone, and I'm more of a PGA 2K on PlayStation.
Oh, dude. Yeah,
The
I
Last
went
of
through a
Us, The
big
Last of Us, that's
PGA
good.
phase on Xbox, bro. We went through like a
Yeah,
5-year phase. What was it? Rory
yeah,
McIlroy and
yeah.
Xbox.
Rory
Oh my
Mac.
god. With the
Yeah,
slow-mo ball movement, dude, it was
man.
sick.
I was big into Tiger Woods. The Augusta
That was
edition
a little
on
before my
Xbox. Oh,
time.
yeah, that was the one right before Rory, and God, the amount of hours I've spent playing that
Oh yeah, and
is
people like
bad.
Kansas especially, like I know for a fact, like people like Kansas play Tiger Woods like
Mm.
drinking before they go out, like religiously,
Hell
right? You
yeah.
guys did that a long time, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of Kansas, our Jayhawks bowl eligible. Let's go.
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy. If our quarterback didn't get hurt, I swear to God, we would have been playing for the national championship. Just saying.
Dude, it was a great game, man.
We're having a great sports year. I don't know if you saw the
Yeah.
Jets are fucking back. We're good again. I mean, my life is
Yeah.
good. I've been smiling ever since.
Yeah, and you took care of business against the Bills, so the
Yeah, yeah,
Chiefs.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You texted me. You were like, dude, that helps us a lot. And I looked at that. I
Yeah.
was like,
Now we're
damn.
tied with them for the number one AFC. I guess they have the tiebreaker against
The
us, but
big bad Bills, huh? Come into MetLife and get their fucking teeth rocked. I don't know, man. I wasn't there, and I felt kind of shitty that I didn't go to that one game. But I'll be there at the Bears game next. And the Bears are good. We'll see what happens.
yeah, Justin Fields.
All right, let's go into OTOG. We got a big one for you this week. This gentleman was born on November 9th, 1934, 87 years ago today. He would go on to become one of the most influential voices in astronomy. His show, Cosmos, was the most watched show on PBS for 10 years. Today, we continue to celebrate the legacy on his birthday. Let me introduce you to this week's OTOG, Mr. Carl fucking Sagan, baby. Bang, fireworks, bang, insert applause. There you go.
When we were talking about OTOG, I think I mentioned like people like Carl Sagan.
Oh yeah.
You can't talk about space and science communication without thinking of Carl Sagan. Like you said, Cosmos. Cosmos was remade with Neil deGrasse Tyson, but back in the 80s, Cosmos, his show was, like you said, the most successful and popular television program that PBS has ever done. He was the trailblazer for science communicators, and he was kind of unjustifiably shunned by the science community because of it, because he would go on, like Johnny Carson, and talk about this stuff, which was back then kind of a faux pas. It's like, no, you're a purist scientist, or you are a third rate scientist who communicates. You can't be both. But Carl was obviously both. He was an excellent science communicator. He was an excellent scientist. You and I are both members of the Planetary Society, of which he is a co-founder. And his late wife, Andrewian, still has a big role to play in his legacy. So we were looking at topics for this week, and I realized that our episode is going to come out on Carl Sagan Day. It's going to come out on Sagan Day, November 9th. So it's like, how can we not do an OTOG on Carl? So he was a poet. The pale blue dot soliloquy. that's here, that's us, everyone you've ever known, everyone you've ever heard of lived on this pale blue dot. That's it's not only true, but it's also beautifully worded. So he had both sides of his brain working for sure, the science side and the art side. And we just don't often see his like. I think somebody like Neil deGrasse Tyson would be our equivalent today, but Neil deGrasse Tyson is only that popular because of Carl Sagan and his
Yes,
trailblazing
it's a
that he
fact.
did
Yeah.
before. So tip your cap, raise a drink to Carl Sagan. He was taken to us far too early.
Yeah. It's in the
He
60s, right?
Yeah, and yeah, it just sucks because I feel like, the picture behind me, the Webb telescope, imagine the things that he would have to say about that kind of stuff.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's just he it was his idea to put the golden record on the Voyager probes. It was his idea to turn the Voyager probes around and take a solar system family portrait where we get the famous pale blue dot image. Yeah, the OTOG segment was created because of people like Carl Sagan.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That was well said, man. Damn. We gotta clip that whole thing. Holy shit. That was good.
Carl Sagan is like,
That's what I'm saying.
Obviously I'm a space nerd, but like he's like top of my list for
absolutely.
for favorite icons in the
Yeah,
space.
he's one of my current role models in my life,
For sure.
even though he's dead. Let's talk about some fun facts about him. So he supported the legalization of marijuana, number one. My brother. You know what I mean? Like, let's go. It says he wrote an essay for the Time magazine outlining the benefits of marijuana. Fuck yeah, Carl. Let's rock.
What would he have to say about, the right next door? It's on the ballot in Missouri to become legalized from me. How many states have legalized it now? 15
Well,
or
you
so.
Thank Carl Sagan for that.
Yeah, like imagine what he'd have to say about that.
He so Harvard denied Carl Sagan tenure in 1967. So there you go. Eat shit, Harvard, right?
Yeah, so he went to Cornell, and basically Harvard's like, shit, we messed that one up.
So he was an early defender of climate science, right? Shutting everybody the hell up. I can't stand when people go against like what's happening to our planet when we have satellites watching what's going on 24/7. So fuck yeah, Carl, with that. Like you said, he came up with the universal message to send out on that Voyager satellite. People have that tattoo on their bodies. Like if you lived in the 80s and 90s, you learned space and science through Carl Sagan. That's just a fact. He had a cameo on Star Trek, which I didn't even know about.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I bet you didn't know this. Bill Nye the Science Guy was a former student of Carl Sagan.
I did know that only because I listened to an episode of Planetary Radio recently where Bill Nye was talking about that.
All right, shout out Bill Nye. Our relationship's getting better day by day. We had that little thing happen in 2017 when I cut the line and he didn't appreciate that for his book signing. But we're mending our relationship. Like I said, I'm a Planetary Society member now, so we're chilling. Yep. This is the craziest part, and you guys definitely didn't know this. There is a unit of measurement named after Carl Sagan. So a Sagan is actually defined as a large quantity of something at least 4 billion. I had no idea about that.
No way.
Yeah, so if you're talking about billions, you can be like, it's a Sagan miles away. That's fucking nuts.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Yeah. I mean, to have a unit of measurement named after you, you're a badass.
Yeah. Pat, why don't I kick us off here? So my launch of the week, you guys probably saw it this morning all over social media. I'm going to launch the last blood moon until 2025, aka a lunar eclipse. The total lunar eclipse happened this morning around 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. You probably didn't see it. Everybody was sleeping. I was knocked out. And plus, it was cloudy in New York. I can't see shit. And I have this famous story where I was, like 14, 15 years old, drinking beers on the beach. And the moon was red and it was a blood moon. And we just pretended to swim to Mars that night. And that's all I got to say about that. So that's my story in relation to the blood moon. I think it's sick. I just didn't get a chance to see it. So I'm pretty pissed off about that. What's your scrub of the week? Launch of the week.
My launch of the week. Astronomers have found the closest known black hole to Earth. Think about that.
That's not comforting.
It's not comforting, but it's good that we know. It's good that we know where it is.
That is good that we know. Where is it?
So it is. It's not close by any means. It's about 1,500 light years away. It's called Gaia BH1. It's also kind of a unique black hole because it's only 10 times the mass of our sun. And typically black holes, and this is obviously very oversimplified because I'm just a layperson trying to explain this, but basically black holes come in uh they're usually a lot bigger than that.
Oh yeah.
And so it's been theorized that they could be smaller, and this is called they've called it a unicorn black hole, because of its size relative to our star. They're typically, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions times the mass of our sun. This is only 10 times the mass, so it's a little baby black hole. 1,500 light years away. It's not gonna, be coming here anytime soon or anything, but yeah, it's scientists have discovered it. So we continue to map the night sky and get better at detecting this stuff. So I just thought it was cool. Like, yeah, hey, what's the closest black hole to Earth? Like, now you can easily point to that one.
What do you mean it's only 1,500 light years away? I don't like that's close as shit in space. Like that's a little
True.
too close for my comfort. And like, I don't know, when we start figuring out how humans or how our consciousness is going to travel star to star, because we will one day have hope. I don't know. That's not far at all. So it's like, what happens when we start getting closer to these black holes and they just start eating all of our shit? I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. I would be a lot more concerned if it was like, the size of Sagittarius A star and it was 1,500 light years away.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one just a little guy. What is your scrub of the week this week?
Oh yeah, I was scrubbing Virgin Galactic. They have more delays into the for the introduction of their second suborbital spaceship. They were like supposed to drop it, I think this month or next, and they just delayed the shit out of it. They were like, we're actually not gonna show you until 2023. We're still dealing with some shit. I mean, Virgin Galactic, they came out so hot. Richard Branson got on that flight. That red button went off when something was going on in the spaceship, and I haven't heard shit since. Honestly, like, have you heard anything since that investigation where they were like, wait, like half the plane almost broke up?
Yeah. No, yeah, he was he was like, I will be first. You will keep going,
Yeah.
and I don't care how long this sets back my program back. My scrub of the week is Rocket Lab failed to catch
Ooh.
their booster. And let me preface this with, like, scrub of the week just means something didn't go nominally. It doesn't mean I'm talking shit, because you and I both love Rocket Lab and what they're trying to do is very cool. But they tried to catch a booster. Um, uh, what was the mission name? It was called Catch Me If You Can,
Mhm.
and they could not, unfortunately, because the payload was successfully got to orbit, but then as the booster was coming back, it lost communications with the ground station, and safety protocol dictates that if that happens, then the helicopter recovery team just is immediately waved off. So
Wow.
so it did splash down in the ocean, and they were able to recover it, but they obviously wish they could have caught it, because once a booster hits the salt water, and certain components are not able to be used anymore, or they're degraded by the salt water. So that's why they try to catch it with a helicopter before it touches any ocean. So not a total failure. Obviously the payload for their customer was successfully inserted into an orbit, so from that aspect they're like, yep, successful mission. But yeah, unfortunately they were not able to catch the booster. So that's my
That
scrub of the week.
that's got to be one of the hardest jobs out there, being a Rocket Lab helicopter pilot and just following these launches and trying to catch these rockets coming back. I mean, these boosters coming back down. That's got to be tough. Trying to
Yeah,
navigate that shit. It reminds me of just like a side mission in Grand Theft Auto that's just like fucking impossible to complete.
that's a side quest. Yeah, that's a good way of putting
literally,
it. Yeah.
literally is a side quest. Like when you meet somebody on a date, you're like, there's no way you say that's your main job. Like, oh, like I catch boosters from rockets with a helicopter. But
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, I'm a pretty
The
normal
first
guy.
Yeah, the first time they did it, they snagged the booster, but then some sensors and whatnot was showing something weird, so out of
Yeah,
an abundance of caution they just let it go.
yeah.
But they proved that they could at least track it down and grapple it. But no such luck this time.
This will probably be one, hopefully will be one of the final scrubs for Rocket Lab though, because they are doing cool shit over there. And I think
Oh yeah.
2023 they're gonna keep grinding and just go to show you they got that whole like thing that SpaceX does where they just keep firing. They don't give a shit who's talking, like
Yep.
who's saying what, you know what
Exactly.
I mean? They
Yep.
have so many missions planned and their logo's really sick.
Yep. Did you hear they named their Venus mission, or at least it was leaked? It's called Morning Star,
Oh, really? That's pretty
because
cool.
the Venus is known as a bright star in the morning. in the night sky. So I thought that was pretty cool.
More and more people are saying potential life on Venus in the past. I don't know, bro. We may have came from
phosphine. Yeah, phosphine.
it may have
in the
it
clouds.
may have went
Yeah.
Venus, Mars, Earth. That's it might have been like that, dude.
Wild.
Yeah. All right. Well, they have another episode of Orbital Takes in the books. Pat, where should they find us online?
You can find us online at Orbital Takes on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. And if you wouldn't mind giving us 5 stars on whatever podcast player you use, that would be great. Ad Astra, everybody.